All right, good afternoon. Welcome to today's quarter one update for what happened in the market here in Anchorage in the real estate world for quarter one 2025. So what we're going to do today, we're going to go through exactly what happened in residential, condo, multifamily, and land in the first quarter. And the intention here is there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and we want to just get the information in one easy, nice to use, easy to use format where you can take a look and then make decisions based on that. So what happened in the housing market and what action will this cause me to take? Those are the answers we're going to solve today. I'm going to move pretty quickly through the info. We have a lot of info here and I don't want you to get bored. And so we're going to roll through this and talk through. And if you're interested in the slide deck, just comment below slide deck and we can send that your way. That way you have all the information at your fingertips. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to look at is residential sales volume. We're going to look back for a 5-year trend. That way we can help answer the question of like, well, what am I supposed to do with this information? Is this good? Is this bad? Is this different than it always has been? I'm not sure. And so the first one we're going to look at is residential only. This is for the municipality of Anchorage. And so on this, we can see that the sales volume is up 2.63% in the first quarter compared to last year. We can see that the units are actually down 5.7% and our average sales price is up. And so even though less properties were sold, the prices are higher, so more volume there. And then you can see the 5-year trend of what's going on. Is this good? Is this bad? 2025 so far is on track to be very similar to the last 3 years for units, 357, 386, 364. Now, if you look back to 2021 and 2022, there was a huge increase there in what was available and what did sell. So this is the first look at residential in Anchorage. Number of listings. So when we look at this, we see that we had a high of 217 listings in January, a low of 188 in February. And you can see the seasonal trend there where we have super low inventory in the wintertime, and then it more than doubles usually by the time August, September rolls around. And so for you, if you're looking at selling a home, consider that the longer you wait, the more competition that you're going to have. If you're buying a home, consider that the longer you wait, the more options you're going to have. Also, the more competition is going to be out there for the sellers. So if you're a seller, it's a great time to get your home on the market. If you're a buyer, the big challenge right now is unlocking that inventory and working with a great agent who can do that for you. Months of inventory, we track this to see who has the upper hand in negotiating. And so usually it's about 5 or 6 months is a balanced market. And that means that the buyer doesn't have the upper hand, the seller doesn't have the upper hand. And we can see months of inventory. We had a high of 2.14 in February, low of 1.4 in March. And so very strongly in the seller's favor. Now, it doesn't mean that the seller can be a jerk, though. It doesn't mean that they don't have to do anything and they can just put junk product on the market. It does mean that there's a lot of buyers looking compared to the amount of homes that are available, though. So days on market's the next measure. If you put your home on the market, how long is it going to take to sell? And we look at both average and median. Average has the outliers. Median is more representative of what you should expect. And we can see that we got a high of 43 in January and then a low of 32 in March. And that is for the average. You can see the median is much lower. Looks like under 20 days on the market for the median. And so if you're marketing your home well, priced it correctly, and it's available, you should be able to get a great offer on your home in the first 20 days on the market. Sales to list price. This one measures what kind of negotiating power is available. Are people asking a really high price, getting a low offer and meeting in the middle, or are they not really negotiating much? And so we can see on this that for the most part, we're between almost 99 and 100% of the listing price compared to the sales price. And so this is great for a seller. You can expect if you price your home well, you're going to get what you ask. For a buyer, this is insightful to understand it's not the case where you're going to be able to go in and offer, 50, 60, 70% of the asking price and be successful with that strategy. So residential summary, units are down, volume is up, sales price is up, and then there's the rest of the numbers that we just went through. We're going to do the same thing with condos next. And so with condos, we can see that the units are down 7%, volume is up 1%, and average sales price is up 9%. So again, for the units, fairly consistent year over year. And that's fairly consistent once we started in 2023. All right, the number of listings, we saw a high of 106 in January, all the way down to a low of 90 in March. So we're getting less and less available inventory for condos on the market here. So if you've got a condo and you think about selling it, there's less and less competition for you. And that's a good sign for you if you're wanting to sell your condo. Months of inventory, this one went from a high of 2.18 down to a low of 1.69. So again, very much favoring the sellers in this market. Days on the market went from a high of 37, both in February and March, down to a low of 30 in January. So getting your condo on the market, you should expect anywhere from 30 to 37 days to accept an offer on that. And again, that's average. If you look at the median, it's much lower. And I would encourage you to look at the median in these situations. Sales to list price, this one went from a low of 97.6 all the way up to a high of above 100%. And so if you're selling your condo, you can expect, if you priced it right, to get a full price offer. If you're purchasing it, consider this when you're writing your offer. So condos down in units, up in volume, up in sales price. There's the other info. When we look at new construction, this is a really interesting thing. New construction has been having a pretty tough time in Anchorage, and last year ended at the lowest in a really long time with 86 new construction homes sold on the MLS. This year is off to a great start with already 21 of them sold, and then you can see the red line there is the valley and the difference in amount of homes being built out there. So Anchorage, though, off to a great start with 21 homes already built for the first quarter this year. Okay, moving on, we're going to talk through, let's see which one this is. We're going to talk through land. And so land is an interesting subject because most people that are buying land are buying it to build on. And so in this case, we can see units are down 4.5%, and that's 3 years in a row of the units being down. And then the volume is actually up 137% because the average sales price is up 148. So average sales price 291. So some expensive properties are changing hand in the first quarter of 2025. Number of listings, you can see that as time goes, went from a high of 220 in March down to a low of 193 in January. Now, if you're thinking, where are all these listings? This is the whole municipality. So this is going to go from Eagle River all the way down to Girdwood. And so you're going to see that there. Months of inventory went from a high of 33.5 down to a low of 25.5. And you can see it's right in the middle of what it has been historically. Days on the market, high of 181 to a low of 157. And so vacant land is sitting on the market for quite some time here in the municipality. So if you see a piece of property that you like, you might have some time. It might still be there in 6 months, but I wouldn't count on that. I would act like it's going to be gone tomorrow. If you're considering selling a piece of property in the municipality, consider it's taken a little while for these properties to sell. So the sooner you get it on the market, the better chance you have. Sales to list price. This one measures negotiation power. We went from a low of 83% all the way up to a high of 90%. And so people are negotiating fairly significantly on these. 83%. We haven't seen that in any of the other categories. So 83%. So land, units are down, volume is way up, average sales price is way up. Last one we're going to take a look at is multifamily. This is anything duplex and above. So duplex all the way up to that 100-unit apartment complex for everything that changed hands on the MLS. And so for this one, we can see that total units were down 4%, but volume was up 9%, and the average sales price was up 14%. Okay, and then we can kind of see what's been taking place. First quarter, 54 properties sold, 50 properties sold, 48 properties sold, compared to 21 and 22, which had pretty big spikes there. Number of listings went from a high of 72 in February down to a low of 67 in January. And so not a lot of listings to choose from. Months of inventory, fairly high on this. Let's see. Yeah, months of inventory fairly high on this. In January, looks like we had a high of 5.5 and we had a low, looks like right about 4 months of inventory. So hovering right around a balanced market there. Days on market, we had a high of 72 days and a low of 37. And so the days on market are getting shorter and shorter. And that's typically the case as we get into the summer months. Days on the market go down in this category. Sales to list price, what kind of negotiation power is there? We're hovering right around 98% the whole time. So people are, for the most part, pricing these things correctly and getting a great offer for them. So summary, units are down, volume is up, average sales price is up. All this leads us to, well, man, this is a lot of numbers. This is a lot of data. This is a lot of nerd stuff. What am I supposed to do with this? Well, we've got 4 action items on this. So number 1 for buyers, hire a great agent who can unlock the inventory. There's limited inventory in all of these categories. Hire an agent that's going to go to work for you and find the inventory that's not on the market and help you secure that property. For sellers, hire an agent that's paying attention to this. It really, really matters if your agent knows how many days on the market to expect. Are prices going up? Are prices going down? Is speed going up? Is speed going down? What's going on with inventory? If your agent doesn't know this and isn't understanding this, that's going to hurt you in the long run. So find an agent who knows this and is a local area expert, and this is what they focus on day in and day out so they can price your home and help you get what you need for it. Number 3 is kind of funny, but disregard the news. I bet if you watch the news for a couple weeks straight, you wouldn't come anywhere close to this kind of data and have it actually represented in a way. Regardless of which news station you watch, you're not going to get this info from the news. And number 4, the best one in every area of life, focus on what you can control. So in this case, focus on what you can control. If you're going to buy a home, hire a great agent, make sure your finances are in order, work with a great lender, make sure you're ready to find that home. If you're going to sell a home, do everything that you can to get the home prepared for the sale. Find a great agent, make sure you understand the market, create a good plan, get that home on the market. Focus on the things you can control. Don't worry about the rest of it. If we can be helpful in any way, reach out to us. Again, if you want this slide deck or if you're curious about some of the items that I mentioned in here, reach out to us. I'd be happy to walk through it. Thank you for joining us today.